Caleb's a really talented guy. He's kind of like a Russell Wilson. Really good lower body, strong, pretty fast, and has a tremendous arm. He can make all the throws. He's got a lot of different motions and all that. Sometimes that helps him, sometimes not so much, but the kid's really talented.
You're getting a guy that's going to come in that's humble, that wants to work, that eventually he'll be maybe a captain for this team.
Tory Taylor, punter from Iowa. We know he's got a great leg. We know he was a critical entity for Kirk Ferentz and the Iowa Hawkeyes. He can flip field position. That's a critical thing in the NFL.
The Chicago Bears' draft class was generational. A draft unlike any other in years past, and one that people can discuss for years to come. And as a Bears fan, this is the most excited I have been for a season. And that is because for the first time in forever, the Chicago Bears are doing things right for once in my life, by building a team around a rookie quarterback to ensure his success. The Chicago Bears did this by first drafting Darnell Wright in a 2023 NFL draft, adding to an offensive line that already had Tevin Jenkins, Braxton Jones, and newly signed Nate Davis. And the only position that was of worry last year was the center position. Other than that, offensive line was fairly good. And the center position was fixed up this offseason by Ryan Poles trading for Ryan Bates from the Buffalo Bills, giving up a 5th round pick, who at just 27 brings in more upside than Lucas Patrick, as he has that strength to go up against those nose tackles, and at the very least, Bates is going to be competition for the most likely starter in Coleman Shelton, who Chicago Bears signed in free agency to a 1-year deal. And last year, Shelton started in all 17 games for the Rams and was a major upgrade over Lucas Patrick. And then in free agency, the Chicago Bears also signed DeAndre Swift to a 3-year, $24.5 million deal. And last year, Swift had a career year, having 229 career starts, running for 1,049 yards and 5 touchdowns. Already adding to our running back room that already had Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, and really making this running back room stack. The Bears followed that up by signing Gerald Everett to a 2-year, $12 million deal, pairing him up with Cole Kmet. And then the Chicago Bears made the blockbuster move of free agency by trading for Keenan Allen. And after contract disputes in LA didn't really work out in Allen's favor, forcing Allen to request a trade, Chicago Bears called and made it happen, giving up a 2024 4th round pick to acquire one of the league's best wide receivers, who last year had 108 receptions for 1,243 yards, 7 touchdowns, and last year he was ranked as the 11th best wide receiver, right behind DJ Moore. And in less than 2 years, the Chicago Bears found a franchise left tackle in Darnell Wright, formed a solid offensive line, have a stacked running back room with Swift, Herbert, and Roschon, an elite tight end in Cole Kmet, and right behind him, Gerald Everett, and 2 wide receiver ones in DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, making this the hands-down best situation that any number 1 quarterback has ever walked into. And who is the number 1 quarterback? Well, that's none other than Caleb Williams, QB that every scout, every Jacks expert has been talking about for years. And according to some, Caleb Williams is the best prospect since Andrew Luck. Caleb got his first start his freshman year at Oklahoma against their biggest rivals in Texas in week 6. And after being down 35-17, Caleb Williams was able to rally back the Sooners to a 55-38 win over the Longhorns, bringing for 212 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 88 yards rushing, and a rushing TD. And after seeing this, Lincoln Riley had no choice but to start Caleb against Texas Tech, where Caleb lit the stadium on fire once again, where he would throw for 295 yards, 4 touchdowns, rushed for 66 yards, and he also had 1 rushing touchdown. And from there, it was a Caleb Williams show at Oklahoma. Caleb Williams would finish that season with 21 passing touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. After that season, Lincoln Riley would get a job at USC, and Caleb Williams would follow suit. And the moment he stepped foot at USC, Caleb was the starter. And it's his first career game against Rice. Caleb would go 19 for 22, throw for 249 yards, and finish that season with 4,537 yards, 42 touchdowns, 5 picks, and Caleb would win AP College Player of the Year and also win the Heisman Trophy that year. And this year, Caleb would throw for 333 yards, 31 passing TDs, and 11 rushing TDs behind a pretty bad offensive line line and, somewhat unreliable weapon. And with stats like these, stats that are astronomical, there's no question on why scouts compared him to a prospect like Andrew Luck. But unlike Luck, who walked into a disastrous situation in Indianapolis, getting sacked, being behind a terrible offensive line, Caleb is walking into a team that has talent around him. And if Caleb is going to put it together, which is going to happen, the NFL is not ready. And for once in my lifetime, the Chicago Bears are going to have a franchise QB, which is going to be a historical move. But it doesn't stop there. Thanks to the Carolina Panthers gifting the Bears the #1 overall pick, the Bears still had their pick left. And by the way, if you want to check out that video, it'll be in the iCards above. Going into the pick at #9, the census was Chicago Bears were going to draft a defensive player, someone like Byron Murphy, because most of the wide receivers like Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors were off the board. And that was what scouts thought. And even though most Bears fans wanted Odunze, most of us knew that it would be a dream for us to get him. To pair someone up like Odunze with newly drafted Caleb Williams would be something for the ages. And as the board started to come together, with the Cardinals staying at #4 and getting Marvin Harrison Jr., the Cardinals selecting Joey O, the Giants getting Malik Neighbors, the Titans selecting J.C. Latham, all of a sudden, Rome Odunze went from being a dream to a genuine possibility. The only issue was the Falcons at #8. Falcons were interesting because they needed an edge, but they also needed a wide receiver to help out Kirk Cousins. And with Odunze on the board, it was a no-brainer that if we go and select him. But I to shock the world, and they selected Michael Penix, which is borderline laughable, and that led Chicago Bears to be in prime position to go and select Rome Odunze with the 9th overall pick. And that is exactly what Ryan Poles and Chicago Bears did, pairing up Caleb Williams with his best friend in Rome Odunze and pairing up a superstar quarterback with a superstar wide receiver in Rome, who in college had 24 TDs, 3,272 yards, as well as 2 rushing touchdowns, 40 touchdowns, and ran a 4.45 40-yard dash. And someone that has NFL comparisons to Larry Fitzgerald and a little bit of Keenan Allen, this made this move from a dream into a reality and told the NFL the Chicago Bears were not the same old team selecting defensive talent, reaching for guys, but a team that is there to win and be a top contender in the NFC North. The job didn't stop there though. The Chicago Bears still had 3 more picks left. And although the Chicago Bears didn't have their 2nd round pick due to Montez Sweat, who they traded for at the mid-season trade deadline, this would be a genius move considering Sweat had 6 sacks in 9 games, and sometimes giving up a high pick for a proven veteran like Sweat can pay off rather than picking in the draft. But that meant the Chicago Bears' next pick came in the 3rd round. Although most of the defensive talent was already gone, like Braylon Trice was off the board, Chicago Bears still found a way to find a star player as they selected Kiran Amegadjie, who at 6'5", 323 pounds was a lethal force at Leo, pancaking guys and not allowing a single sack since week 11 of 2021 season. And he had a 2.9 pressure rate among true passer protection snaps, other than that of J.C. Latham, who went to the Titans at pick #7 in the NFL draft. And with the Chicago Bears' last pick, they decided to make perhaps the most shocking move ever, selecting Tory Taylor with the 122nd pick in the 4th round of the NFL draft. And it's fair to say this move caught a lot of people off guard, including myself, and many raised to call this move the worst pick of the draft. But if you peel the onion back, if you look at the situation as a whole, rather than just a pick, this pick makes a lot of sense. Last year, the Chicago Bears ranked bottom at the 3rd when it came to punts. We saw our old punter making 20-yard punts, and we saw how easily offensive took advantage of that and got in the scoring lane, and it was over for the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears desperately needed an upgrade, and getting someone like Taylor, who at college was the best punter, the staple, if you will, of the Iowa offense, who had an average punt yards of 46.3 yards, his longest punt being 67 yards. This was a move that had to happen. And before some of you Raiders go, yeah, but a punt in the 4th round? Yeah, Trenton Gill was that bad. A guy that fumbled the bag every chance that he got. The Chicago Bears saw an opportunity to get in a major upgrade, and they took it. And this might not be the most popular move in the world, but it absolutely had to happen. And ending the draft with Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, Kiran, and Taylor were all major moves that made the Chicago Bears contenders that really differed from every single NFL draft that years past. And the Chicago Bears were clear winners, but Ryan Poles still had one more move up his sleeve. And Poles was able to trade back with the Buffalo Bills to get their original 5th round pick back that they gave up for Bates, and he gave up a 2025 4th round pick. And using his original pick, the 155th pick, the Chicago Bears selected Austin Booker, an edge from Kansas. And getting Booker in the 5th round was a steal. I wanted Booker in the 4th round with our original pick. Many scouts had Booker as a day 2 selection, but due to his size, his lack of experience, Booker fell, and Poles had to take a bit of a risk and go select him. Especially after his visit, Poles was like, I have to go and get him, and he cheered up at the potential that Booker has, which many scouts think is the next Max Crosby. And that is because both Crosby and Booker are both going to be the same size at 6'5", both weighed at 240 pounds coming out, and both of which have that energy, that basketball nature, that speed, and that spin move coming along that edge, that length, and both are late round picks. Crosby was a 4th round pick, and Booker a 5th round pick. And if Booker can get bigger and stronger, which he will, he can beat Max Crosby, and boy, oh boy, would that be a get by Ryan Poles. Pairing up Austin Booker and Montez Sweat would be a nightmare for NFL defenses, and pairing that up with the offense that we have, team just cannot stop us. And in less than 3 years, and this offseason being the biggest, Ryan Poles managed to go from a team that had Darnell Mooney, EQB, Justin Fields, Lucas Patrick, Robin Tunyon, and Trenton Gill, playing with a team now that has Ryan Bates, Cornelius Lewis, Gerald Everett, DeAndre Swift, Montez Sweat, Keenan Allen, and a draft class of Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, Kiran Amegadjie, Tory Taylor, and Austin Booker. This was a masterclass, and when we look back at it, this is what led Chicago Bears going to a Super Bowl, and something that people are going to talk about for years to come, for being one of the quickest rebuilds in NFL history. And if you love this video, make sure you go and smash that like button, like this video, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And with that being said, bear down.